Welcome to the South African Civil Society Information Service. I'm Fazila Farouk, coming to you from Melville in Johannesburg. I'm in the Love Bookstore this evening. 1 billion women on this planet get raped and beaten. To address this crisis, Eve Ensler has launched the campaign 1 Billion Rising. The campaign aims to mobilize 1 billion people around the world to come together on one day, the 14th of February next year, 2013, to rise up against this atrocity. Eve Ensler is the founder of V-Day. It's a global movement which tries to bring an end to violence against women and girls. Eve is a famous playwright. She famously authored the Vagina Monologues, a play that's been performed in over 140 countries around the world. Eve is in South Africa tonight to launch the South African leg of the 1 Billion Rising campaign. And sharing the platform with her this evening is Lebo Mashile, famous poet in South Africa, as well as Prudence Mabele, who is the founder of the Positive Women's Network. Welcome to Saxis, Eve.
Thank you.
So 1 billion people to mobilize for your campaign. That's a huge number of people to mobilize for any campaign. Tell us about the 1 Billion Rising campaign and how you hope to achieve this goal of 1 billion people participating.
Well, right now, the UN statistics are that 1 out of 3 women on the planet will be raped and beaten. I did the math, and that's over 1 billion women. We've been working now in V-Day for almost 15 years to end violence against women and girls. We've had huge victories, many of them around the world, but we are still in patriarchy. We are still in a world where 1 out of 3 women will be beaten or raped. We have decided that for our 15th year, we are escalating, we are misbehaving, we are disrupting, and we are saying the time has come to stop, to usher in the new world, to bring in a new way of seeing and doing and behaving on the planet. So we're calling the 1 billion women across the planet who have been raped or beaten or incested or hurt or criticized or undermined or muted or in any way stopped from being their truly authentic selves, to walk out of their jobs, to walk out of schools, to walk out of their homes on February 14th, 2013, to strike, to dance, and to rise, to find your dance posse, to find your church, to find your parliament, to find your place where you can dance with whoever you want to dance with, as long as you want to dance, to say we are in solidarity, we understand that we represent a huge amount of people on the planet, and this is the central issue of our time.
Well, you've worked in South Africa. This is not your first time here. I know that you, one of your plays were performed here last year. So can you tell me a little bit about why South Africa, why your interest specifically in South Africa on this issue?
Well, I've actually been, my work's been performed here for a long time, and I feel very connected to South Africa ever since apartheid and struggling in the States against the, in the anti-apartheid movement. I feel that South Africa and Africa is the heart of the world. And if the heart is opened and it rises, the rest of the world will rise. And I feel in great solidarity with South Africa, because I feel so much depends on really the future of the world, what happens here. And the fact that 1 out of 2 women in this country will be raped, the fact that women are under siege here, the fact that that liberation has not happened yet is impacting everything. So I feel that if we can support the women of South Africa to become their fully authentic, beautiful, powerful, loving, healing, nurturing, visionary selves, it will impact and change what happens not only in this country but in this continent and throughout the planet.
You know, Eve, actually I've been following your work for some years now, and about 2 years ago I watched you being interviewed, and you were talking about the situation in Congo. And at the time, the particular story you focused on was the story of 200 women in a village very near to a UN peacekeeping base who'd been raped, as well as 5 boys. And I remember you saying that it took weeks for the UN to come and assist these women. Can you tell us, since then, what's happening in the Congo? Has the situation improved in any way for the people, for the women particularly, and the children in the Congo?
I myself in V-Day has been very active in supporting the women of Congo for the last 6 years. There's a good story and there's a bad story. The bad story is that the war continues in the east. It's a war that's being fought for minerals. Congo's very rich in coltan and copper and tin and gold, and all of those minerals are being pillaged from the ground, from the Congolese, by militias that are proxies for Western corporations. And as those minerals are pillaged, women are raped, women are tortured, women are abused, families are destroyed in communities, and after they're destroyed, the militias move in and they seize the mines. That is continuing. But what is also happening is that women have organized now for 5 years in the Congo. They have formed huge campaigns. They are becoming very activated. And I think we're seeing enormous change on the ground. I'm very proud to say, with the Pansy Foundation, opened a place called the City of Joy a year and a half ago, where at any given time 90 women will be trained to turn their pain to power in literacy, in healing, in agriculture, in communications, they're learning computers, they're learning how to speak, they're becoming leaders. And they then return to their communities with a group, and they spread that message and they lift up their communities. And I have to say, the women coming out of City of Joy are fierce and powerful and extraordinary. And I have great hope that in 5 years we have trained at least 1,000 women, and they will begin to be the new rising force in the Democratic Republic of Congo. But I'm very disheartened to see the lack of care that there is in the world, the indifference, the kind of momentary razzle there is when people hear about a massacre, and then the complete and utter disappearance of care or any kind of major real support that could change the situation politically. And I have been in many war zones in the world. I've spent a lot of time in the rape mines of the world. I have seen nothing as horrific as I've seen in the Congo. The numbers of women raped, I think it's over 500,000, and I'm sure when it's all said and done, it will be at least 1 million. The kind of desecration that goes on with women's bodies, the fistula, the mass rape, the gang rapes of 2-year-old and babies and 80-year-old women, the just destruction of the family structure, and the Congolese themselves, for me, has been absolutely the worst experience just most shattering experience. And I have to say that having been in Bosnia in '94 when there was that war, in a year and a half the world mobilized and moved in and stopped the raping because they were white and middle class and European. And the fact that this has not happened, I can only believe, has to do with racism, has to do with the fact that we have just simply written the Congo off and just treated as if those are the kinds of things that happen in the Congo, as opposed to realizing that the women and men there are beautiful, gracious, extraordinary human beings whose lives are so worth supporting and nurturing and saving.
Just want to ask you a final question about one other hot spot in the world. A recent study revealed that 85% of the women in Egypt experience sexual harassment, and for foreign women the figure is much higher actually. And in the aftermath of the Arab Spring in Egypt, sexual harassment is being used as a tool to oppress women, particularly women activists are being kept off the streets through this tool. Is your campaign going to go to Egypt?
Our campaign is already in Egypt, and the women are organizing in Egypt. V-Day had a program called Karama, which was a program that went throughout the Middle East that we helped nurture and support. And we just met with all the leader of Karama and their leadership. And there are many, many grassroots groups in Egypt and throughout the Middle East who will be with us in 1 Billion Rising. And I want to say that we have to look at the Arab Spring being a woman's spring. The problem with so many revolutions that happen in the world is that women are often on the front lines. And if you look at Tahrir Square, it was women who were bringing food. It was women who were on the front lines. It was women who were standing up. It was women who kept everybody going. And as soon as the victory occurred, they were pushed back and marginalized and silenced. And we cannot allow that to happen. And we are in total solidarity with the women in Egypt, that we know there is no real liberation. There will be no freedom unless women are free. We will, Egypt will go back in another form to exactly what it was or worse if women are not part of it and women are not equal in the struggle. It's impossible without women.
Eve Ensler, thank you very much.